All right. Welcome to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon, episode 40. Woo!
Woo!
Woohoo! Yeah, woo! John's only been with us for like 7 episodes, so this isn't really a milestone for him. It is April 23rd, 2021. I am joined, as always, by producer John and Danko Suvin of the Instagram handle at DankToLose. I've gotten the question just this last week whether or not John has an Instagram to follow. He does not at this point, but maybe he will be spurred into making one with that comment. John, how
listener?
are you? Yes.
Oh.
Well, there's a couple of listener who have asked the question, but one in particular,
Okay.
one of our oldest, goodest boys, if you will.
Okay.
But John, how are you doing this week?
Slowly losing my grip on reality, but otherwise good.
Okay.
And I guess for the listener, but not the viewer, I will work on making an Instagram.
All right. Yeah. And then Danko, how are you doing this week?
Man, I was all right until recently. I don't know what's going on.
Recently, as in like just an hour or two ago, or
yeah, just today. Yeah.
just today?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think you know what happened.
I do know what happened.
But...
it seems to me that we wouldn't really benefit from bringing it up.
No,
but,
no.
You know,
but my
family
life
is complicated and
is on
autism
fire.
speaks. I think
autism speaks. I do want to point out one thing that did cheer me up for a moment, though.
Go ahead.
Which is that before we began recording this, Michael was counting down in Spanish, and
incorrectly.
Yes,
on purpose.
He counted down. Oh, damn it! It was on purpose.
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
Not funny anymore because he went 3, 1, 2, and I was like, he's got a broken brain, and it's good.
Oh,
but now that it's man, it's like learning that Santa's not real.
Yeah, right. Learning that I sometimes just accident or purposely do things
Which
the
one
wrong
is it,
way to make it funny. It's comedy is all about timing.
What was that? Uno, dos, tres, catorce. Wasn't that the Bono?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I haven't listened to U2 since I heard them the first time.
Yeah, okay, good. I was going to say, I'm disappointed that you listened to them twice.
No. There's very few bands that I think are utter garbage, and U2 is one of them.
I'm shocked by the fact that they are one of the highest selling, if not, I think I read somewhere, but I find it hard to believe, the highest selling band of all time.
No, I'm not. I'm actually not surprised to hear that at all, because they name a U2 song, right? It's all just a bland mess of gray. Like everything is exactly the same as everything else.
Right.
Who listens to U2? Is that what we're looking at?
Remember,
I'm guessing wasps somewhere between the ages of 40 and 60.
That's fair. But do you guys remember their 9/11 concert at the Super Bowl?
Wait, what? No.
It was.
I really don't.
It was right after 9/11, so it was it was 2002, and they did this like 9/11 memorial Super Bowl performance with like just all the shit you would expect, and it was, oh my god, what a fucking nightmare, especially from them. Like
of course, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where to go with it, but I'm gonna rewatch it, and I'm gonna shit myself.
Bono is probably the most neoliberal and I hesitate to even say he belongs to this world, but musical artist that's ever existed.
How Irish poetry has gone down the gutter.
Is
We used to have
Irish?
Seamus Haney. Yeah, isn't he?
Oh, geez. Man,
Yeah, I'm pretty
the
sure
Irish
he's
must
like an Irish
really
man.
just fucking hate him then.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
I think
very
it's just,
political people.
so is it that he's a neolib, or that he's just like a sentient platitude?
What's the difference?
Yeah, it's a circular Venn diagram.
Yeah. So yeah, our first topic for today, before we start getting into the meat and potatoes, I guess, is and I guess this isn't meat and potatoes to me, but we may need to put Glenn Greenwald down, or like, I don't know.
We've been saying it.
Look for the CIA brain chip that's that's embedded somewhere in his skull.
Look, Mike. The longer you do something like do genuinely good work trying to support left causes in South America,
Yeah,
this timeline always eventually leads to you having a CIA microchip in your brain.
right.
So, I mean, he got cooed. You know, Glenn's brain got
when do
cooed.
I get my CIA microchip? Right.
You got to step up the work, man.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah.
Podcasting's not going to cut it.
So this article released by Greenwald on a Substack. Can we go back up to the headline, because the headline's
that beautiful face of his. Oh,
due process, adult sexual morality, and the case of Representative Matt Gaetz. The Florida congressman has not been charged with any crimes, but the reaction to this case raises important questions of political, legal, and cultural judgments. In that little subtext, he's not been charged with any crimes, but it raises important questions on how we judge things. He's not convicted of anything yet. There have, like, aside from his name, like, being dragged, and rightfully so, because Matt Gaetz is a creep and we all fucking know it.
Yeah.
There have not been any consequences thus far besides an investigation that's happening, which isn't necessarily a consequence. It's an investigation. And, you know, to treat the court of public opinion as like an actual court, which is what Glenn is essentially doing here by saying, like, Matt Gaetz is being accused of something that he hasn't been found guilty of yet. Well, yeah, that's how accusations work, right? You can't be found guilty of something without being accused of it first.
right.
And that's all anybody's done so far, is accuse him of being this weirdo sex trafficker and possibly pedophile. And there's a long history of him being a weird creep about that. Being the only person that voted against the anti-sex trafficking bill.
And the revenge porn bill.
Yeah, and the revenge porn bill, and the weird relationship he has with his servant / son, whatever Nestor is to him.
Nestor's his carrot. You dangle it in front of a high school.
But yeah, so this article is not worth reading too much into. But basically, Glenn Greenwald is saying, oh, all these accusations floating around about him are some kind of form of cancel culture, sort of adjacent shit.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately where this concern is coming from, right? Which it's a bummer, because there are limited justifiable concerns around the like cancel culture question, sure. Right? But when you see a certain amount of success, I mean, he's a funny example of how these media ecologies kind of work, right? Where he's concerned about something that's real, which is that there are certain ridiculous expectations of like journalists and the way that they do or do not focus on things. And if they say the wrong kind of thing, or if they look into the wrong kind of thing, they can potentially get into trouble with, you know, their HR or with
For sure.
The expectations of the company. So like that's totally legitimate. And so he's talking about these like cooling effects that potentially can occur inside of media. But then he gets a little bit of success talking about these certain things that are supposed to be like edgy or whatever, and they're really kind of not. And so he digs himself deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole where suddenly, like everyone that talks about cancel culture, I guess, everything is cancel culture, and it becomes hysteria. It sucks.
Yeah,
it sucks. It sucks because like I feel like cancel culture is one of the only things that you actually can't have a dialogue about, ironically.
Yeah,
because anyone that's talking about it is going to go into like some kind of extreme about it, when in reality it's like, yeah, I mean, sometimes people are ridiculous, and then corporate, where it really ends up hurting people isn't where it's on Twitter, because like people get Twitter dragged, whatever, fucking people on the internet hate me too, deal with that, like,
haha, how is cyberbullying real? Step away from the computer.
But where it does become a genuine issue that he seemed to focus on for a while until he extended it everywhere is, inside of like reporting, where you're told that you can or cannot do certain types of stories because of like the general Twitter environment or whatever.
Well, that's what's really funny about this, is because he left The Intercept because he was told he could not report on certain things about Hunter Biden, right? And what he was reporting on was a little bit in the like conspiracy theory territory on Hunter Biden, and here he is saying, "Hey, you're not allowed to report on Matt Gaetz like this." It's like, brother, do you not understand the conflict that you have here in your ideology, right?
Well, I mean, but part of not to pretend that I'm a mind reader for Greenwald, but I feel like a lot of what's happening, there's some justification to this, but also, I feel like I'm taking a step back with a lot of this stuff because I'm always really mean about Greenwald, because he is kind of like a turd in a lot of ways, but there's this tendency in a lot of like, he's nominally a leftist, right? So, and he's done some left-leaning work and things like that, so I'm inclined to believe that in his heart he feels that way. But there's this tendency in like left and especially like post-left groups to attack as much as you can liberals and like the Democratic Party, and for good reason. But part of that tendency also seems to lead to wanting to like lay off of the Republicans and like the right wing, at least in America, like not necessarily elsewhere. It's bizarre. It's a really confusing.
Well, it's like the crystal ball and Sagar and Jetty, like, oh, we have a commonality between us, and that we both hate the libs, right? So we can find this left wing and right wing populism and mash them together. And when you really actually explore that, it's not what it is at all. And we've talked about this before with things like Jimmy Dore, who I don't consider to be a serious enough person to even call a leftist. But he will call himself a leftist, and then he'll do something like interview that Boogaloo boy, whose name I'm forgetting. Magnus something, whatever the fuck.
Oh, did he unironically? Yeah, he did, didn't he? Unironically interview a Boogaloo boy, thinking he was like a leftist militia member,
right? Or thinking that we had enough like similar interests and therefore similar goals. He stopped at the interest thing and just assumed that the goals were the same. And decided to interview that guy, and basically just gave him a massive platform to like lie about what his actual positions are.
The enemy of my enemy as my friend kind of thinking it's never led to any like historical
it's so old and it's
issues.
So wrong, and people keep falling for it.
What happened with World War One? Is that related in any way? But I posted about this before, which is just that, I don't think horseshoe theory was real up until like dumb guy Hyperstition made it real, and now like it's becoming something, and it's brown shirt, red shirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it goes back to the idea that there is a left politics and a right politics is not necessarily true. You
No,
know,
no.
it's good for like maybe broad generalizations of what people believe, but ultimately, like, I think people really underestimate like how politically confused some people are,
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, and in that like their ideologies aren't necessarily coherent. It's just they'll take certain stances on certain issues based on like completely, and this is why ideology and intent is so important, and why I think this is something we talk a lot of, especially about in like the workshop and stuff like that, is formulating like a solid ideology that informs the rest of your positions on things, rather than like just blindly fumbling through and going like, well, this is how I feel on this subject and this is how I feel on this subject, and they're like completely misaligned with each other.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's I agree with that to a point. Zizek is one of the things he brings up that I tend to agree with is that a good way of determining if something is in fact sniff sniff ideology, uh, sneeze sniff, is whether you can find contradictions in it, right?
Mhm.
Because that's just what delineates a type of thought that doesn't align with the real, right?
Sure.
The same way that you apply Lacanian psychoanalysis to anything else, you look for contradictions.
Right.
um, but um, but yeah, so I mean, these wide overarching philosophies and ideologies tend to be self-contradicting in a certain way because of the fact that we're human, and so they're yeah, the goal ultimately is to try to find and produce an ideology that is not contradictive in a certain way, and in I think that there's both a really good it's a good goal to build a wider overarching one, but then to also look things through in like an extremely case by case basis. Like
For sure.
that's actually what led me to move from being someone who's maybe more on the authoritarian left to being some form of anarchist at this point, which was just realizing, okay, hold on, well, I need to just not have an ideology for a while and just not have any kind of discrete goals apart from like, well, I want the most people to be like, I want justice and I want goodness and I want like good things. That's ultimately the goal of politics, is to make sure that people have it good, right?
Right.
And so that led to kind of an ongoing micro politics inspired by like Deleuze and Guattari, right? Because there's all that micropolitics. We talked about this, the fascisms and everything with our fascism episode, and kind of working things through on a case by case, like little micro basis, and then finally coming up with, oh, okay, well, my philosophy is entirely realigned, and now I have a new ideology. So it's yeah, I think that sorry, this has been a huge tangent, but
No, no,
I
no,
think that
it's
you have to
good.
kind of do both, right? You
Yeah.
have to do the macro and the micro at the same time.
Cool. So
Greenwald.
anyways, Glenn Greenwald is being canceled. No. Uh Man, sad. But
Sad.
it's it's like the old Yeller gif. I post this a lot, but when I forget what the character's name is, but when he's like looking down the sights at old Yeller, and it's like it's because Greenwald has done a lot of good work in the past, and if he could find a way to just maybe only leak government secrets and just never give his opinion ever again, maybe that would be good. I don't know.
I also wonder, like, I don't see how this would apply to the Greenwald stuff, but sorry, not the Greenwald stuff, the Gates stuff. But it might apply elsewhere. But he's so oversaturated in a good way with politics in other parts of the world that I wonder how much of that is just like informing his politics in the US in a bizarre way, You know,
Yeah,
like,
I wonder
I'm
if maybe
curious about that.
he's been out of the U.S. for too long to like understand what's going on here, maybe, or something like that. And
Yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
politics everywhere are different and the same
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, and it just it things can become very confused.
for sure.
Yeah.
Next subject, and this is a real downer, and I'm sorry to follow up a downer with a downer, but I've been looking forward to this for a long time. In fact, one of my major goals for the Benzo Rehab dungeon was to become a major platformer on whatever Mike Lindell released. It
Was it
started
Frank Talk?
so right now it's called Frank Speech.
Frank Speech.
Um,
His name's
it,
not even Frank. It's not even like a
right,
pun.
yeah, it's
What's going
stupid,
on with
but
that?
it started out it was going to be called
Frankly, this is
Vocal, which
bullshit.
was VOCL. It may
But
have
it
turned
was
out
too
that
much like
was
Volcel.
already yeah, it may have turned out that that was maybe already taken by something else. I don't know about that. And then maybe somebody pointed out that it sounds too much like Volcel.
There you go.
Um,
It was me.
yeah, but now his new media platform that he's trying to launch called Frank, which is short for Frank Speech. It's having some launch issues, and I'm getting really frustrated because, like I said, I wanted the Benzo Rehab Dungeon to become a major like part of this platform.
You can sign
And
up with like your phone number or something, right? Like I was hearing
yeah,
something
but
about this, but you don't want to give them your
doing
phone
anything
number.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it had a failed launch, and then Mike Lindell accused liberals of attacking the site so much that that's why I had a false launch. Um,
A
and
false launch, but he's also claiming that there are like 90 million people on there, which cannot possibly be true unless they're all
yeah.
bots.
Well, yeah. I mean, they might be bots, or they might be people ironically joining, whatever.
No.
90 million does seem like a lot for irony joins, so probably bots. You're right.
No.
But yeah, it briefly was available, and then it immediately faltered, and now we're just all in limbo. And
It sucks, man.
you know, you think you can trust a guy, a billionaire? You know, he has those billions for a reason, right?
Yeah, to just do anything that fucking pops into his fucking weird mustached head.
Yeah, which
to help America.
Yeah, and you know what helps you come up with thoughts to act on really well, allegedly, is cocaine. Allegedly.
Yep.
That's not a face that does cocaine.
It's absolutely not a face nor a body. Not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah. It's a face that used to do cocaine.
Oh yeah. That for sure.
Yeah, he put that life behind him so that he could make really good pillows. And there's no reason that somebody who was on cocaine would want really good pillows.
I have 2 or 3 of them because they've been gifted to me by people that would do that.
Yeah.
Cocaine pillows?
Cocaine pillows.
Just pillows. Just my pillows.
They suck. They are I like
don't they already feel like a pillow that's 90% dust mite shit?
Yeah. It feels like it has chunks in it. Like
I
don't know what it is.
I remember Dorian, you like showed me one of the my pillows, and I felt it, and I was like, this is lumpy and uneven.
Extremely.
Like,
and also I have extremely bad hygiene, and I keep like shitting on it and stuff. But
I felt it before the shit stains had appeared.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Yeah, you got
that.
the new one. Yeah, but I'm honestly kind of astounded by the poor quality, right? Like,
right, yeah,
it can't be that hard.
Amazon Basics can make a better pillow than the My Pillow guy.
Yeah. Oh man, I need a new pillow. I'm still functioning off of that one. Like I have.
Oh geez, dude.
Yeah, I do have one like normal pillow. It's not my pillow. But
damn it.
but I'm a person that needs like 4 pillows because my head is so huge, and so I need like that extra something beneath it, so I have to use those. I just gotta buy pillows. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah, pillows are kind of cheap, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I just bought myself socks and underwear. I'm very excited about that.
Nice,
Oh,
dude.
That proves what age
do-
I am.
we've got an adult here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have
They're nice
the
socks,
socks
dude.
and underwear right now?
No, they're on the way.
Oh.
I'll show them to you guys next
Yeah.
episode.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'd really like to see your socks and underwear.
They're nice, cushiony boot socks.
Ooh, yeah, boot socks are always good.
Oh, they're so good.
Speaking of boots, let's go on to the next
This is either a very good or a very bad episode. I can never tell, but
yeah, I never know either. I just roll with whatever it goes. So immigration. We all saw the memes before Biden took office. No more kids in cages, and then it was like, no more talking about kids in cages, and that's essentially what's happening here. The Biden administration is holding out for bipartisan support for immigration measures. The White House says. If we scroll down a little bit. So the White House suggested Wednesday it isn't ready to use special budget rules to push immigration measures through Congress. Press Secretary Jen Psaki said the administration remains focused on finding a bipartisan path forward on immigration instead of using a special budget procedure called reconciliation. The budget rule would allow Democrats to pass legislation with a simple majority vote in the Senate and without any Republican support. So basically, the Democrats have power right now. They could enact some kind of meaningful change at the border with immigration, but they're choosing not to because they want to work with Republicans, the people that we've been told for the last 4 years are evil and trying to hurt us.
And putting kids in cages.
Let's go down to near the end of this article, I believe. Biden is right there. Biden is also pushing a comprehensive immigration bill, the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021, that would create an 8-year pathway to citizenship for nearly 11 million undocumented immigrants. Again, this is something that could be pushed through reconciliation, but he's not doing that. So basically, he's putting 11 million undocumented immigrants' futures in the hands of whether or not Republicans can be coerced into working with them on this. If we go to the next link,
just tripping over your own dick.
Yeah,
I mean that's
exactly.
an excuse though. Like it's not. I wish it was tripping over their own dicks.
No,
but just they just don't want to do it.
Yeah, they don't. They're pretending that they have such a huge dick to trip over.
Yeah.
And then tripping over that pretend dick, like, oh man, my dick fell out on the floor and it's just so big I can't walk over it.
It's like so. It's just so. Which I guess before the show we were talking about how can right wingers have such big brain worms, but
oh no,
liberals definitely too, because like
right.
that somebody can say Biden is progressive is nuts.
No, it's crazy.
Like, oh, we got to get these kids out of cages soon as the people who were putting them in cages compromise to let them out of cages.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Because we can do that.
They're just cowards.
Oh yeah, cowards. That's for sure. So this next article is why Biden still hasn't raised the refugee cap. On Friday afternoon, President Joe Biden announced that he would not increase refugee admissions this fiscal year, saying that the current annual cap of 15,000, a record low set by the Trump administration, remains justified. Literally carrying on Donald Trump's policies on refugees forward. Less than 2 hours later, after sharp blowback from Democratic members of Congress and refugee advocacy groups, the White House made an about-face clarifying that Biden would actually be issuing an unspecified increased cap by May 15th. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki passed it off as a misunderstanding and told reporters on Monday that Biden always had the intention of increasing refugee admissions down the line if the U.S. was able to reach the existing cap before the end of the fiscal year in October. But the controversy confused and dismayed immigrant advocates who had expected Biden to take a more open arms approach U.S. refugee policy, particularly after promising on the campaign trail to raise the refugee cap to 125,000 or even higher, which Psaki described Monday as more of an aspirational goal. Right? When you give hard numbers like that, we can always just expect that to be an aspirational goal, right?
Right, just like the day that we're going to remove people from Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It's
September 11th
this time.
Yeah, September 11th. It's happening. So, let's see. Let's go down just a little bit.
Is that September 11th goal not like? Does that
Stop
not
right there.
feel like a really awful move? Also,
Oh yeah, it's
like,
super arbitrary and it's all based in like the symbolism of it, right?
well, yeah, but the symbolism feels like, I don't know. It feels so gross.
Yeah, no, it is incredibly gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Continue
So-
on, sir.
so-
A
the,
whole generation has grown up since the handful of people who fled to Afghanistan, not from Afghanistan, fucking blew up the World Trade Center.
For sure.
Right.
Fucking let's commemorate our fucking invasion.
Yeah.
That whatever.
No, yeah, that's all the right feelings you're supposed to have. So the White
reach
House,
21 and
going back to the refugee thing, the White House has cited practical concerns with increasing refugee admissions. Unlike many of the president's other policy priorities, some of which have been stalled in the 50-50 Senate, raising the refugee cap is something Biden could do unilaterally by issuing a presidential proclamation. There is nothing holding him back on this legislatively. He could literally just make this happen. But Psaki said during a briefing on Monday that the challenge is not the cap. The challenge is the ability to process, the funding, the staffing to welcome refugees, she added. If we go down to the very bottom of this article, there's a very important thing that we need to note here.
what if we started like a jobs program for?
I know, right? Or like repurposed ICE agents to just process these people. So let's see. Yeah, so the second from the bottom paragraph, despite the fact that the refugee admissions program and the asylum system are separate, the Biden administration has still used conditions at the border to justify maintaining Trump's refugee cap. These are two separate programs completely removed from each other. And the Biden administration is leaning on, oh, the border is such a mess. There's no way we can take in all these refugees, because these refugees aren't coming from Mexico necessarily. They're coming from all different parts of the world where refugees need to come from, because the world is a fucking mess right now. And so,
which we had nothing to do with.
Yeah, which we've had nothing to do with our like 800 bases around the fucking world that are all doing things and creating situations where people need to seek refuge from. But yeah, no, it's important to note that they're using the border situation as an excuse for not raising the refugee cap, when the refugee cap has nothing to do with the border necessarily. So cool stuff from Joseph Biden.
Yeah, the stuff about the border and immigration and stuff, that's I guess it's obvious to tell why it would be so depressing, but it's always the thing that fucking deflates me. Like when we're talking about this stuff, it fucking kills me just talking and hearing about this stuff.
Yeah, maybe we should put that later on in the.
No. I don't want to leave unhappy.
It is incredibly deflating, because it's one of the things that, for all the things I had against Biden, if he like held true to what he was saying about immigration at all, like I would be okay with at least that part of Biden. I had a lot of doubts about whether he would do that, and it seems they're being confirmed more or less as we're now
Well, about any of the shit he said, like it's incredible how much he's not doing. It's yeah.
And it's things that, you know, there's things that I understand need to go through the legislative process.
Sure.
But there's the intentionality behind not putting things through reconciliation, where the Democratic Party has, you know, the ability to win with a simple majority. We're talking 51 votes versus 50 votes, where the 51st vote is just the vice president coming in and voting on a tiebreaker. Um, the you know, letting the Senate parliamentarian uh, decide that a $15 minimum wage has no impact on the budget, which is clearly bullshit, and not pursuing that, not just overturning the parliamentarian's rule, which is a very simple process of the vice president saying, no, we disagree and we're going to go through with this.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just the backtracking from any kind of position that would lead to actual, you know, meaningful substantive change.
Well, Mike, if the Democrats start brute forcing things, it's going to teach the Republicans that they can just brute force things.
Oh yeah, which isn't the Republican Party strategy for the last I don't know.
Yeah.
George Bush. 30, when was 40... George Bush elected?
So how are we going to get the Republicans to get rid of their strategy of non-compromise through compromise?
Yeah, right.
That's what we got to do. So, like, I've avoided well, I guess I haven't. I have definitely called Joe Biden senile. But I mean, like, if you think that Joe Biden is a reformed progressive, then you also have to think that he's senile and forgetting that he's progressive.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's this whole thing is like, it's like someone getting in their first fight and then like worrying that if I punch this person as hard as I can, they'll do the same to me while they're like sitting on your chest and pummeling your face. Like,
yeah, and you know, this isn't the first time any of these people have been in a scrap either. So like the excuse for not understanding how fights work is
so they're just cowards. Yeah,
they're just cowards. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
Well, it's not even. I mean, a lot of it is cowardice.
Yeah, a lot of it I think it's a
dive. It's a dive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, what was that, John?
Well, because I mean, if we get rid of the right, then fucking centrist Democrats or whatever you want to call them,
they're performative.
Well, they're going to be the right.
Blue dog.
And then everybody's going to want to get rid of them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if Manchin and Sinema were the right wing of our politics, God, that would. I mean, they already kind of part of it, but
if they were the furthest right, though, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just had to deal with some kooky asshole saying something assholish from time to time.
Yeah, like a couple people voting against like minimum wage increases instead of like an entire monolith.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Go ahead and click on the next one. We're gonna go on a little bit of a Biden tour here.
Hell yeah.
So months after Biden promised to end support for the Yemen war, Congress still has no details. This was April 7th is when this article came out on The Intercept. 2 months after President Joe Biden announced that he would end all American support for offensive operations in the war in Yemen, including relevant arms sales, his administration has yet to detail what forms of support the U.S. has cut off. So for those who are unfamiliar, there's a war in Yemen in which Saudi Arabia is killing a bunch of Yemenis people.
School buses mostly. I mean, it's
incredibly targeted on civilian casualties. And again, you know, we're dealing with the Saudis who, at the beginning of Joe Biden's presidency, you know, there was the report that came out that said, oh yes, the Saudis did kill Jamal Khashoggi. And then when somebody was asking Joe Biden, like, hey, so since, you know, we have a clear violation of like the Saudis killing an American citizen who was also a journalist. Are we going to do something about that? And Joe Biden was like, well, we can't, you know, we can't punish Saudi Arabia for the actions of one man, which is the ruling prince of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, he was crown prince at the time.
Yeah. Is he no longer crown prince?
Oh no. They at least took the honorific away from him.
Oh, okay. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like not punishing a country for, something that the country did against one of our citizens, let alone what they're doing in Yemen. So Biden had promised that, we were going to, stop arms sales to the Saudis for this reason. It's really kind of been like a bizarre, incoherent sort of thing, which I guess is a lot of what the Biden administration is turning out to be. Where it's like bizarre and incoherent, where they're saying, "Oh yeah, we're not going to punish them. We're also just not going to sell them arms anymore," which is kind of a form of punishment, really, in international terms. But don't be worried, because go ahead and click the next link. So Raytheon has expressed some fears that Biden is going to cancel a $500 million arms sale to Saudi Arabia. Click the next link. Really, all we need to worry about it here is the headline. So Biden's Secretary of Defense is a former Raytheon employee. Also notable that he went straight from the U.S. military as a general to Raytheon, and then before, there's like a statute of like how soon you can leave the military and then become Secretary of Defense. He's still within that statute, and so they had to get like a special waiver for him to become Secretary of Defense, which of course he got it, because we're dealing with Democrats and Republicans here who don't care if a former general is now the Secretary of Defense, and
it's not even don't care, it's want.
Yeah, it's probably want, and also the fact that he's deeply tied with a military contractor also doesn't factor into their decision on whether or not they want him to be Secretary of Defense. The Secretary of Defense that we have now is a former Raytheon executive. Made a lot of money by leaving Raytheon to become Secretary of Defense. Weird. And so the next link is Cards Against Humanity Family Edition.
Oh hell yeah.
You might need to open that
Isn't
up
that
in incognito or something.
All right.
That's just apples to apples, isn't it?
Yeah, it's apples to apples, but for edgy kids.
Oh, edgy kids. So it says like poop.
Yeah, it says
poop.
Shit, doo doo, pee pee.
They can't say shit, man. Come on.
No, they say shit sometimes.
Well, not in their family edition. My God, Michael. I'm glad you're not a father. It would learn the shit word.
Learning the poo poo word.
Then...
Need some intermission music for this. You know what? I don't think this will load because we don't have a New York Times subscription. But basically, the headline is that Joe Biden is planning on selling. Oh, coming through on these speakers now.
Oh, I guess I cannot share an incognito tab on the screen share.
Weird. Well, no one sees the porn.
I can see it now.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, U.S. is expected to approve some arms sales to UAE and Saudis. So basically, Joe Biden is, and this is interesting in how the you can leave this tab now and go back to the regular one. But it's interesting because the way that they came to the conclusion that they should be able to sell things to Saudi Arabia was through a report that was released that said, no, this will be fine. And I just think it's interesting how the Democrats always work off of like some kind of bullshit study or a report where it's like, oh yeah, we did a study into it, and it turns out that if we sell them arms, it's gonna be okay, and we don't need to worry about it.
What study was that?
Well, so another interesting subject, and I ranted about this a little bit on the Instagram story the other day. But the second that Joe Biden took office, there was a bunch of think tanks that are associated with like the military industrial complex, especially private military contractors and uh, like military weapons contractors, started doing like a shit ton of like studies, which is always where they're just like, hey, here's the economic benefits of, you know, doing business with these certain companies and employing private military contractors in certain engagements rather than, you know, deploying the military. Um, so I have
Also
a
keeping in
feeling.
mind,
Go ahead.
no, go finish up your thing.
Oh, so you know, just yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought, but
All right.
I think what I was trying to say is just that you know, these studies are obviously biased completely because they're funded by the same people who have the ability to make a lot of money out of the conclusions of these studies, and it's telling that, you know, things like this started occurring the second Biden took office, and one of the points that I've made in the past is that, you know, Trump was this dumb blundering fool that couldn't properly operate the United States war machine, and that's why none of the military generals, a lot of the military contractors didn't really want to do business under him because he just was so incompetent that he couldn't make this machine work right. And
Right.
what I had posited was that when Joe Biden takes office, is that he's going to work the machinery right, and we're going to see a return of the private military or the industrial military complex. Sorry.
Right. And also keep in mind that I don't know if they're number one at this point in time, but I'm inclined to believe it. But University of California, for example, is they have more money moving through them through military contracts than any other institution in the world.
Yep.
And so, and certainly, you know, like when I was at Chicago, there was a lot of money going in through like DARPA contracts and things of the sort. So,
For sure.
I mean, these studies and things of the sort. I mean, a lot of that is for research to develop, you know, things like, you know, weapons or psychological warfare or whatnot. But there's certainly a lot of like justification research that's going through these places as well.
Yep. If we could take a real quick break.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to go ahead and pause recording real quick. Okay, we are back from our break, which I called for. So yeah, we.
And then he reprimanded us.
Yeah, I did reprimand. Yeah, for taking a break.
It's just, well, that's why we took the break, though. So it's a weird thing that you would take a break and then yell at us for taking the break. It hurts my feelings a little bit that you're like this.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I believe in Machiavellian power structures. and so if I don't exert my power over you guys, then I'll never be able to maintain that power.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about these ideology shifting. So mine from like off left down to libertarian left, and I'm watching you work your way back up into auth, and it's
I'm actually just going into auth.
Like just center on.
I don't care what direction it goes, left or right. I just want to make sure that I'm in control of whatever I can be.
There's something to be said about authoritarians and being that way, right? It just like depends which friend group you have to determine whether or not you're auth left or auth right.
For sure, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Tankies.
People are social animals.
So two articles that we wanted to look at real quick on the subject of the Saudi arms sales. So the House passed a bill 2 days ago. 2 days ago, limiting arms sales to Saudi Arabia over the Khashoggi killing. It is worth noting that they did a similar thing when Trump was in office, and then Trump vetoed it and did the sales anyways, up to the tune of like several $1 billion, I think, which is just fucking insane. But I guess, and you know, it was funny at the time because a lot of liberal media sources like, basically called him a monster because he came out and he's like, hey, you know, they might have killed one of our guys, but they buy our weapons. It's a lot of money. And it's like, he was basically just saying the quiet part out loud where, you know,
Yeah.
of course the Saudis aren't aligned with our interests necessarily as people, and they do things that we dislike all the time, but you know,
But they're rich.
the government likes their money, so
Yeah.
Look, I know that that Bobby comes into the store all the time and he sexually harasses our workers and then takes a shit in the corner, but he buys a steak every time he walks into the restaurant. So we gotta let it happen.
We might take $50 in losses every time he comes in, but he buys $100 worth of steak. So
just imagine like breaking a window every time you walk into a restaurant,
Yeah.
but then like buying like
as long as he ends up paying for that window through his purchases.
Oh, you know, I was a bouncer at a club for a while, and there was a group of guys that they spent like $3,000 every time they came in, and this is like a shithole nightclub. Like it
has to be, right?
Yeah, it like
but they would like do the doggy drag on their ass as they like entered in.
Yeah, no, they would wear ill-fitting suits, and they'd come in and get bottle service at a place called the Dallas nightclub in Austin. And
that's the wrong town.
I never got it, and I was not interested enough to ask. So, but yeah, no, and like they just literally like let their asses hang out, and they'd break mirrors and do all this other shit, fucking doing cocaine in the bathroom, which I don't necessarily give a shit about. Fucking like literally have to throw them out every night, but they would never ever get blacklisted.
Right.
And we kicked people out all the time and would ban them, but we were never allowed to ban them. We could kick them out when they got too bad, but the owner would never let us ban them for sexually harassing women and stuff like that.
And that's why I stayed with a lot of my girlfriends. Yeah, you punch me every time that we spend the night together, but everything else is fine. So
yeah,
you buy me bottle service.
You're my sugar mommy, so you're allowed to hit me occasionally.
Yeah, I'd let women do a lot for a couple of dollars
for bottle service. Yeah. Anyway, what's this about Khashoggi?
Yeah, that was the subject we started on. So Dorian had the question while we were starting to break whether or not
under the bus.
Whether or not Jamal Khashoggi was actually a U.S. citizen, and he was. And the bill that was passed was authored by Representative Jerry Connolly, who is a Democrat from Virginia, and he represents the district where Khashoggi lived when he was in the U.S. If we want to go to the next link, which I brought up because of questions that we had over the break. So this is a good article from Jacobin, which I recommend looking up. I recommended it on the Instagram story the other day, but I would like to reiterate that. The article is titled, "The Biden Era is Witnessing a Return of the Military-Industrial Complex," and it goes into, so one of the top national security think tanks backing the Biden administration, the Center for New American Security, has been taking money from every major defense contractor while pumping out a steady stream of research supporting those companies' interests. It's yet another sign that Biden's promised return to normal has unfortunately arrived. And so,
and how do you get a think tank gig? You know?
Yeah,
right?
No, I would love to have a think tank gig.
Can we call ourselves a think tank? Will people
we are now?
Yeah, I think we are a think tank.
From now on, my workshop is a think tank.
I guess I can pony up the money for the Benzo Rehab think tank LLC.
Oh, and we'll launch on Frank.
Nice.
Yeah,
We'll
exactly.
launch,
Yeah,
yeah, and we'll all
that'll be
dress
our
as the My
breakout
Pillow
platform.
guy.
Yep. All right, so I forget what the next link is because I think we've explored the Biden sucks aspect of this for enough. Oh yeah.
Oh, yay.
uh, the clown show of politics that is now California. Um, and I'd like to preface this with saying that I think that Gavin Newsom is a shithead who should be impeached, but not replaced by somebody like this.
Mm.
You want to just go ahead and play that?
Oh yeah.
Former Olympic gold medal winner and transgender activist Caitlyn Jenner
Pause.
has added her
Transgender activist just like hits my ears in a way when I think about who Caitlyn Jenner is.
Yeah.
Because she's really anti-trans in a lot of ways. And really damaging ways about like saying like if you're not what's the word I'm looking for? If you're not presenting enough as a female, then you're not actually trans. She called a trans person, I forget who, but she called a trans person. Oh, she was talking about how slutty trans people are, and that trans people don't like her because she's not a gutter whore. Like not too long ago.
Whoa.
Real Milo vibes here.
Yeah, right. Like where you're gay or you're trans, but you hate everybody who's gay and everybody who's trans.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like the rich gays that are against gay marriage
Mm-hmm.
or apathetic to it. They were like ranging
Right.
from apathetic to against it because
Right.
they're rich and it doesn't fucking matter to them.
Right.
Like Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, honestly, fucking nobody would do anything to Caitlyn Jenner, even if it was fucking 1930. Caitlyn Jenner's fucking rich. She can fucking live in a fucking house full of security for the rest of her fucking life.
And I always hated the rhetoric that surrounded her as being like super super brave for coming out the way she did, which to be fair, there is a certain amount of like maybe daring it takes to do that, but
Sure.
the way that people championed her as like the bravest person to and sure the trope exists like not as brave as our troops or whatever, but really not as brave as like your average trans person who doesn't have all the money to throw behind like a full transition or faces poverty and joblessness and homelessness for their entire lives because they'll never be hired by a company or never be hired in like a meaningful way outside of like fringe jobs or they have to like take like demeaning jobs and like weird entertainment industry roles or something like that. Like the idea that Caitlyn Jenner is somebody who's brave when she had all of the resources to basically force success out of this.
Right. I mean, I would say that there's a lot to be said about the value of something like representation, but that's also where the issue comes in, where it's like, yeah, I would say on like a personal level, yeah, brave and was doing something for herself that many people in her position may have just allowed to kind of like rot away, and so I think there is something to be said for that. But the issue is that as she ends up taking she ends up having this position as being someone who can represent this subalternated community and do something really good with it. She instead is gonna like run as a Republican and like is really shitty to trans people as a whole. And so I mean, I wouldn't necessarily like diminish her her own like personal struggles by comparing, but I would say that she's definitely taking her role in a nasty direction.
Oh yeah. Well, then also there's that whole thing where she killed an old lady, totally got away with it, but whatever.
And yeah, put her in jail for that. Yeah, that's. I mean, it
every
comes up to
every
that,
rich person gets one, right?
Yeah, you get one.
We
Yeah,
all agree to that
Right, right.
at least, right, guys? Like,
yeah.
I know we're all radical leftists who believe in communism or whatever, but like, we at least agree that a rich person gets to kill one person, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I
okay,
mean,
I just wanted to make sure.
we do need to put a lower limit on what rich is. Like, not just like worth $1 million. You know, like
Oh, okay.
fuck that chump change. It's 5 million or above net worth.
Yeah.
The threshold, like you get a card in the mail from the U.S. government.
You're rich now. You get one.
You've reached $5 million. You can now kill a person. but if you hold, it's like what's that, like marshmallow incentive test that they do with kids, like where
Right.
like they put a marshmallow in the front of the kid and they say, if you don't eat that, we'll give you 2 marshmallows later. And it's like one of those things where, like, if you reach $5 million, but you wait until $10 million, like the range of people you're allowed to kill is expanded. You know, like when you reach $5 million, it's like, all right, you can kill an old white lady, and then like later on, it's like,
I got a question about the marshmallow test. Because I get the point that they're trying to make, but what about those kids that might have been dieting?
right? Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want 2 marshmallows. That's good.
Yeah, I mean,
down
every test is ultimately a failure when it comes to like incentives and motives and stuff like that.
No, it was dumb, but yeah.
No, let's intellectualize it, Dorian. Let's go down that road.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and finish up this clip, I guess. Like, we got 7 seconds into it.
Yeah, immediately became enraged.
Status to a growing list of Republicans seeking to unseat California Governor Gavin Newsom. The 71-year-old said in a statement posted on social media Friday that the Democratic governor's, quote, over-restrictive lockdown during the pandemic has devastated small business and deprived children of in-class schooling. Adding, quote, I am a proven winner and the only outsider who can put an end to Gavin Newsom's disastrous time as
Can we put a
governor.
pause right now?
Outsider?
Yeah,
So-
first off, outsider, you're rich.
Yeah.
Secondly, proven winner. Sorry, but the last thing you won was like races. like physical races, not like you've won anything politically or like you've got a proven track record of having really good politics or like policy positions or anything like that. Like, you literally just ran real fast, which is cool.
Yeah.
But you can't call yourself like a proven winner in the context of like whether or not you can win a political campaign or whether or not your political campaign can win just because you physically ran real fast once.
Yeah, it's like this thing that I guess people buy into, that like that they don't think that they don't think that people can justifiably call them out from being dishonest through barely technical truths.
Right, yeah. I'm a proven winner. Actually, I also am a proven winner. 2nd grade spelling bee in a town called PL in Washington. Look it up. Probably doesn't exist as a record, but but I have the trophy.
Not to shoot you down and flex myself, but
Okay.
in the 7th grade, I won the What America Means to Me contest. I wrote an essay.
That's incredibly based, Dorian.
Yeah.
About how dope America is. I still have I still have my my little trophy here.
Yeah. Could you like pull it in a frame right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh god,
Do
he's
it.
gonna do it.
That's right.
Oh wow,
By
it
being
was
a little
that on hand.
It's
what's amazing about it
if you're a little sycophant, and you support the U.S. war machine as a child.
What's great about that is if you could hold it up again real briefly. It's got the American flag at the top, right? And then all down through the base it has like deconstructed American flag imagery, you know? Like it's just the American flag the whole way up, the whole way down, and then it probably says something about how cool you are at the bottom.
What it says, and this is very funny. It's the City of Vista 2002 Patriot Essay Contest, first place, middle school.
Damn.
So this was right after 9/11
Yeah.
that they decided to do this contest.
Oh wow.
Christ.
It was such a propagandistic thing, but it was so funny because I wrote this just like sappy, like awful, like pro-America propagandistic piece, which is exactly
that's what they were looking for.
which is what I figured they were looking for. But my English teacher, he was not having it. Which maybe justifiably, even though otherwise he was like an asshole. I fucking hated him, and he like almost ruined like writing for me. But he ended up saying, after we like read our essays out, because we all had to read our essays to class for this competition, and he ended up saying, yeah, I mean, I don't know that that's really what they're looking for. And then, fuck you, Mr. Ross. I'm going to join a think tank.
Fucking own. I'm the most patriotic second grader there ever was.
Hell yeah.
Oh man.
Cool,
like,
and now I'm me. So
like that means anything.
Well, I was gonna say, you might have.
Well, I mean, your prowess at writing propaganda, of course, but like a kid writing an essay on patriotism, I don't know, like, does that mean anything? It's like
it does when you're trying to like enforce lifelong habits of fealty and jingoism and rewarding.
I promise you, friend.
When all of his peers saw that Dorian wrote the best pro-America thing, they're like, "Oh, I lost the competition," and that makes the competition about like whether or not you can be more patriotic, right? And I wouldn't say that it's like an intentional conspiracy, but that's the effect it has.
Yeah,
and that's why jingoism is like just bad. Don't do it. Don't be jingoistic.
Jingoism is a bad.
Jingoism is bad, and that's all I got. Let's go ahead and call it here, boys. No.
Podcast over. 40 episodes.
Let's round out this. Let's round out this clip because there's a funny point in here near the end.
All right.
Called Newsom began in February 2020 before COVID-19 restrictions were implemented, led by a conservative group called the California Patriot Coalition that opposed Newsom's liberal politics.
It's a circus. It's going to cost $100+ million.
California's Secretary of State is in the process of verifying the signatures necessary.
So I just have to say that he is the most California-looking governor I've ever seen.
He was made in a lab for sure.
Right, he was made in a lab, but also he's got the American Psycho like haircut going on, right?
No.
Yeah.
Like, he flexes while he fucks in the mirror. Yeah.
Totally he does like whatever 200 sit-ups each morning. His business card color is bone. And he's definitely been in a circle of friends that have exchanged business cards just to like judge whose business card was most aesthetically pleasing.
My business card would blow all those out of the water, by the way.
Oh yeah?
Okay.
It's very good.
Yeah.
I printed like way too many of them as a joke when I was like, I don't know, 20 something, and I still have like a box of them around. But all it has is it's just my name and my contact information, and then on the back it just says, "This is what you deserve."
Which coincidentally is something that Gavin Newsom has said while strangling a prostitute.
Oh,
haven't we all?
Oh yeah. All right, let's actually listen to him.
Yes.
Because I wasn't listening to him. I was just looking at how sandblasted his skin was.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
necessary to force Newsom into a recall election. Voters would be asked whether the governor should be recalled, and if so, who should succeed him.
Who knows what can happen?
The last time Californians recalled their governor was in 2003, when Democrat Gray Davis was replaced by Republican Hollywood star Arnold Schwarzenegger.
History is cyclical, man. Yeah.
And again, we mentioned it on the deconstruction episode that California was a Republican state for a long time, and still is very deeply conservative. And so, the last time a governor was recalled, we replaced them with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which Jesus. And now we're facing another recall where
right.
The replacement may be Caitlyn Jenner.
I have an irrational amount of love for Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's awful politician.
Yeah, awful politician, but like weirdly wholesome person.
Yeah, weirdly wholesome person, and I'm a really big fan of bodybuilding. I think it's like a really cool homoerotic sport.
Well, you like Rodin, so
I do like Rodin a lot, and that's why. It's the way he builds pecs. Yeah. But and also the reason I love Arnie.
His inspirational speeches are actually
they're really good.
Yeah, they are really good. They if I can remember correctly, they're oddly absent of or at least have a reduced amount of empty platitudes. Yeah, I think all platitudes are empty. So
sure.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, no, they're good. They're really good.
And yeah, and it's actually like surprisingly like pro like green energy, maybe not even just like green energy, but like anti-pollution sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I have something to share real quick.
Please, yeah, what's up?
Oh man.
Because we're on the topic of crazy people running for governor.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I was really hoping you were going to show us how like bizarrely pointed Arnold's biceps are. They're weird. They're weirdly shaped.
Yeah, no. Very sharp. Pyramidic even.
Pyramidic, absolutely.
Oh, so Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah,
McConaughey. Woo! Is flirting with a run for governor.
Yeah, and so apparently, Texans with the recent snowstorm, the snowpocalypse that we had, and our entire electrical infrastructure came to a grinding halt,
which affected you quite severely.
Oh yeah, my walls were exploding from frozen pipes and shit like that. And I mean, also, I had to live in 37-degree weather inside my own house for a few days before a friend took pity on me and I had to break COVID protocol to probably survive.
Hell yeah.
Because now that I'm thinking about it, granted, I'm not old or anything, but plenty of people did freeze to death in their homes.
Yeah, and while I would like to say that I'm glad you're alive, I think the fact that you broke COVID protocol kind of it's problematic.
Yeah,
it's problematic, right. and we'll talk about it after we're done recording. But for the listener and the viewer, if this is the last time John is on the podcast, it's because he broke COVID protocol.
I do
for being too friendly.
I do accept my inevitable write-up.
Yeah,
and
HR is at least gonna have a talk with you.
Our HR department, by the way, is just a possum we keep in a high chair. It just hisses
and the possum is informed by me after I've been drinking.
Yeah, the possum is actually forced to watch a whole lot of videos of a drunk Mike, and it's got those Clockwork Orange clamps on the eyes.
Yeah. It has to see everything.
I got to draw this.
All right, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no. I just wanted to let people know that we could have a Governor McConaughey, and apparently he's polling well.
Yeah, no, of course,
yeah.
and so is
Yeah.
like Andrew Yang in New York for governor right now.
I'm friendlier to that. I mean,
no,
I'm like,
I mean,
at
yeah,
least-
I'm friendlier in like a way where it's like not as bad as Matthew McConaughey, probably.
Yeah,
but, like,
right.
Yeah, like Andrew Yang is technically a serious person compared to Matthew McConaughey.
I mean, with Yang and the Yang Gang in control of New York, what I envision happening is that everyone has $1,000 stipend that goes immediately to their landlord, but then also there are even more horrifying robot dogs.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah.
I would like to make a quick point on Andrew Yang versus Governor Cuomo. So obviously we have a lot of criticism for Cuomo because he completely bungled the response to COVID.
Because he's a sex monster.
Well, I don't think because he's a sex monster,
Allegedly.
but because he's an egomaniac.
Killed more old people than Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah,
that's true.
And so it's worthy of note that Andrew Yang, early on in the COVID pandemic, was talking about how one of his old buddies who happened to be associated with the military said that we should just infect everybody in the military with COVID so that they could, carry the antibodies and still be ready for service. So, like we have these criticisms of Cuomo for basically sacrificing the elderly in COVID-19. Yang would have sacrificed a bunch of young service members for COVID-19.
Well, I mean, like Yang's general like archetype is just like he's like the friendly face of a mad scientist, kind of. Like if you tell him some kind of like weird Elon Musk thing, he's absolutely going to be like, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up the Elon Musk comparison, where it's just like he sees himself as an ideas man, but like he doesn't have like the thought to back up any of those ideas.
John's expression right now is very interesting. What's going on? What's
Well, I just find it weird that Andrew Yang has the most self-loathing veteran friend in existence.
Oh, I mean, it's
like
it's highly suspect that this veteran friend even exists in the first place, right?
Yeah, no,
I don't doubt that he exists at all. It's absolutely some guy just saying like, "We need to be ready, and you can inject."
No, yeah. But what I'm saying is like, what is this actual veteran status? Like, how involved with the military is he really? Is he just some guy that like role plays on the weekends as a military guy?
Yeah. Well, and that Andrew Yang's veteran buddies aren't like country club officers and a veteran that hates himself and his fellow service members so much that he would infect them with a deadly disease.
Right.
Yeah, because like I don't hate myself that much.
That Republican guy with an eye patch is also a veteran. It's worth mentioning. Dan whatever.
Cranshaw.
Yeah, that's the one. I always forget his name because I hate him so much that I just like forget he should exist. I don't know.
All right, what's next?
I think we got some Dave Rubin clips.
Oh hell yeah! Speaking of the cool club,
so this is a series that I'm gonna call the worst takes on Derek Chauvin's guilty conviction.
I'm not even going to try to begin to guess what Dave Rubin will have to say.
So we've got this clip, and then we got a secondary clip from him, which I think should just probably be played back to back, unless we really, and it's entirely possible that I'll say pause and interject something, but
unlikely.
I think these need to be played back to back with each other.
All right, here we go.
this is the weird thing with equity. They seem to want everything to be equal. So it's like, okay, if we shot 50 black people, we got to shoot 50 white people, which, by the way, that's sort of what they actually do mean. It's just like,
What?
Man, we couldn't even
Dear
make
God.
it through.
I
yeah, I would have paused here too, because now that I'm remembering it, first off, if we're talking about equity, shooting 50 black people and shooting 50 white people, black people are a minority, and so if there's going to be some kind of like equal exchange here, it needs to actually be like 150 white people versus.
What are you, a
50.
statistician?
I'm not a statistician necessarily, but I understand how statistics work, and if you really wanted some kind of equity here, like if you wanted to make things comparable to each other, then the population has to match the rate at which police shoot them, right?
Yeah, but ignoring that is exactly like that's so central to the way that these people think. Like that exact confusion about math is like why these people's brains can function. I mean,
Oh
if you
yeah,
wanna
for
call it
sure.
functioning.
Right.
yeah, that like not a single logical chain of thought can fucking go through David Rubin's head. I don't think.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Yeah,
I want to apologize to you guys. I'm currently making a Dave Rubin meme, so if I'm looking down at my phone,
You are.
yeah,
Not if you are.
And
yeah, it'll be worth it though. It's
I'm
very
sure
funny.
it will be. Yeah.
Continue
I'll
on. I'm almost
repost it.
done
Don't
with
worry.
Actually, yeah. Thanks, but
all right, let's see how much crazier it can get.
let him speak.
Yeah.
it's like, okay, if we can just get more white people shot, then we'll be okay. In essence, that really is what they mean. And I know this will be clipped by Media Matters, you losers. I'll get to you in just a sec.
It doesn't need to be
So,
clipped.
If we're going to deal with this honestly, which I know it's getting very hard to deal with any of this stuff honestly, then we have to talk about behavior, that behavior has something to do with some of this stuff. And we can talk about all the reasons that people act differently. You could try to read a Thomas Sowell book and you might realize some things about the welfare state that did not help behaviors and all of that kind of stuff. But we've got a whole bunch of other stuff to get to. So I want to talk, this is the weird thing with equity. They seem to want everything to be equal.
It's replaying now. do we have any thoughts before we go into the next one?
He's just repulsive. He's just
Yeah.
a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely terrible.
You know what?
You know what?
Where does this shit come from?
Bad brains.
Like when
Yeah.
who said what person, what real person?
Yeah, there's literally nobody on planet Earth that's saying, all right, if you're gonna shoot 50 black people, you need to shoot 50 white people.
It's just
Yeah.
fair, man.
That's just like crazy shit. Like that's the type of shit that just like pops out of like weird drunk people's heads in the comment section of Facebook.
Which
Yeah.
it's interesting you say that, because I am regularly a weird drunk person that comments on stuff on Facebook. And I've never once had the thought that anybody is arguing for like an equal distribution of police force against people.
Maybe,
maybe
you should get drunker.
It's like I hear
I
equality.
can't. If I get drunker, I'm gonna die.
I hear equality, and what I don't hear when I hear the word equality is stop killing minorities. It's kill more of the majority. That's
for sure.
that's definitely what I hear when I hear the word equality.
It's
Like-
like the opposite of equal opportunity.
Yeah, what kind of fucking psychopath?
we
Look.
need equal disopportunity. That's
We
that's
just
what
need-
we're all
we need more
arguing.
quotas, guys. We need more quotas.
Jesus.
We need a consistent amount of white people killed for every, and you know what we got to do is we have to kill a black person, and then we need to then conscript somebody to go kill a white person, right? That's how that's how it works.
That's what's going to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Not, meeting like their demands of justice or anything.
Not just having like a weird brutalized force that is constantly killing people, mostly black people, of course, because racism exists, and there's
Well,
a lot
does racism exist?
okay,
does it?
yeah, never
Yeah.
mind. Yeah,
It's
we're-
certainly
we're
not
all-
systemic.
They got
There are
rid
no
of it
laws
back
that
in the
have the N-word.
60s, right?
Yeah. Because like oh yeah, no, because the Klan wasn't still like assassinating people in the 70s, and fucking Reagan didn't get elected in the 80s, and Bill Clinton didn't call black people super criminals. None of that.
Our current like biggest issue when it comes to domestic terrorism is not white supremacists.
Oh yeah, no, we have not had over 300 or so fucking abortion bombings.
You know, it's not lost
Abortion
on
clinic
me.
bombings.
It's not lost on me that David Duke is still alive and Fred Hampton was killed by the FBI.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That point is not lost on me when it comes to racism in America. So let's move on to I don't even know if this is I almost want to say this is a worse take on the whole Chauvin George Floyd situation. But I think it might be because Pelosi like performatively says that she wants justice in America, whereas somebody like Dave Rubin is just a douchebag that shouts into a camera and makes a lot of money off of it. This is somebody who can actually like work to affect change if she really wanted to.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and we'll. Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You
Yeah,
still
I
need
know
to
I
play the
jumped
second
ahead.
clip.
Yeah, we need to listen to the second Dave Rubin clip. My bad.
Oh hell yeah.
We need more of this.
Hey, Anya says, how not to give up. Seeing the Chauvin verdict, federal push for CRT, and all the madness in corporate media, I feel very deflated and I want to give up. You know what? I hear you. I think you've heard it in my voice in the last week. I've been more frustrated than usual, a little more despondent than usual at some level. But the key thing for any of us, if you love freedom, if you love America, if you love, forget America, forget freedom, if you love life. Hey, Anya says, how?
So basically he goes on to say that we need to keep fighting for, I don't know. Just, if you feel deflated about the fact that a murderer was convicted, you need to keep fighting against the liberals and everything.
Yeah, that if you feel depressed that a grinning sociopath was convicted for fucking kneeling on a black man's neck, like you just got to keep fighting for fucking the American dream or whatever the fuck Dave Rubin's going on about.
Yeah. I don't even know what to fucking say about it. Like, what is there?
Yeah. He sucks.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
Yeah.
He's got a huge following. It's so amazing.
Well, and I'm guessing he's writing for himself.
No, his husband and yes, Dave Rubin is gay, which is the hilarious thing about like all of his conservative takes.
Married to a man named Dave.
Yeah, married to a man named so Dave and Dave. But his husband actually writes a lot of his material, from what I understand, because I've watched a lot of like Anna Kasparian and the Young Turks and Majority Report, and these are all people who had like interactions with Dave Rubin before he made his like weird right wing split. Yeah, his right wing
token.
Yeah. His husband writes a lot of his material, and Dave Rubin just kind of comes in and reads it off the teleprompter. Is kind of how it works, from what I understand.
And he definitely goes off on weird tangents.
Like,
because
he goes off on weird tangents because he has no like coherent thought of his own in a lot of ways, except for that he knows he needs to like go in a rightward bent. So he's like, it's really crazy how the liberals are bad and Republicans are good, right?
And they call me stinky, but
he does kind of talk like almost like intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Are just like coming into like his mind, and he has Tourette's and can't help but fucking spout those fucking crazy intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So like I said, maybe not better, but maybe worse in some ways. Nancy Pelosi's statement immediately after the Chauvin conviction is, and you know, I posted this on the Instagram, but
The fuck is she looking at? Sorry.
have you not seen this clip, John?
I have.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh man, you're in for a ride if you haven't seen this yet. Yeah, let's just go ahead and play this.
Although I did repress a lot of it.
That's wise.
I had to fucking scream in my bathroom.
Uh-oh.
Did I?
So again,
Oh, okay.
thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice,
Fuck.
for being there to call out to your mom. How heartbreaking was that? Call out for your mom. I can't breathe. But because of you, and because of thousands, millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous with justice. And now we have to make sure justice prevails in the sentencing. But that's, you know, that's its own procedure. Our responsibility is to make sure that Karen Bass, who has been so open to justice with the bill that she put together, she wrote, and now trying to find areas of agreement in the Senate. Because unless we can change the law, this will be an episode. We change the law, we're going down a different path altogether.
So, have I talked about my theory about how we allow these like ancient fucking weird fascists to remain in power even though their brains are rotting?
Go on.
Because
I don't think you've talked about it, but this is something that we definitely agree with.
like, how can like somebody like let her like go up there and, you know, say that shit? Like,
well, yeah, you see in the background there's some confusing expressions in the background where they're like,
the
yeah,
black
yeah,
lady
thank you,
wincing.
What are you saying? I just sent a link in the Discord if you want to click on that, because I think it aligns, and it's important to pair these things together.
See, and like, I think that, where was it? Oh, okay. I think that being that old and in power is basically like being in a nursing home.
Oh yeah.
Except for there's no walls.
Right. Yeah.
And you constantly have a public platform.
A gilded cage.
Yeah, like all these like aides and people that surround Nancy Pelosi, like they try to control her, but sometimes she fucking spits the tranquilizers out.
Yeah, I had somebody. I had somebody in the. So I posted this clip to the Instagram, and somebody in the comments said, "Whoever wrote that speech needs to be fired," and I replied with, I think this is just straight from Nancy Pelosi's brain.
Yeah.
They have a point then.
Yeah, no, they do have a point, but I don't think they meant it the way that it ultimately leads to. So we have Mayor Jacob Frey, who is the mayor of Minneapolis. His tweet after the Chauvin conviction. George Floyd came to Minneapolis to better his life, but ultimately his life will have bettered our city. The jury joined in a shared conviction that has animated Minneapolis for the last 11 months. They refused to look away and affirmed he should still be here today.
But at least it ends on the right note, but Jesus Christ.
You just said that it's better that he didn't. That
Right?
he's not here today, though.
He came here to better the city. Or ultimately his life will have been like, yeah, the weird way that they're treating George Floyd as like a sacrificial, and to be fair, in some ways they're making him a sacrificial lamb, and that there's a lot of talk in the undercurrents of like the political sphere that now that Derek Chauvin has been convicted, the police reform measures that need to be taken. And you know, I'm an abolitionist, and I think probably you two gentlemen are as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But you know, like if we're talking about the broader politics of things, and that there's a lot of pressure for reform, there's been a lot of aides in the White House that have anonymously come out saying that this lessens the pressure for the Democratic Party to actually make any substantive change to how policing works. And I'm not an accelerationist in like the dumb shit understanding that like Chauvin should have been found innocent so that we could riot and like force change to happen. Chauvin should have been found guilty, but also the secondary effect that this lessens the pressure on the Democratic Party to make change is like incredibly troubling, and that should be what actually like radicalizes people's thoughts.
Absolutely.
That's what I got there.
Yep. And I guess we'll see what happens when the Democrats inevitably raise the budgets of police across the country.
They'll be wearing kente cloth though,
Yeah.
so
You know,
it'll be cool.
Because that's how you get somebody under control. You give them more money.
Yeah.
That's what my parents did with me.
I don't think we need that next link because I didn't watch it in the first place.
Off to Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. So Ben Shapiro tweeted out, convicting Chauvin of murder rather than manslaughter was incorrect in my view of the evidence. But at least evidence was presented to support a conviction. No evidence was presented that Floyd's killing was racist, but Chauvin was convicted of that, and so was America.
So was America.
Yeah.
I mean, that's him telling on himself for sure that America is like white people in power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We actually could go back to the link before this and just look at the headline because it's hilarious to pair up with that thought. And this is some podcaster influencer named Zuby, and the quote is, "One of the worst things you can do to a young person is convince them they're some kind of victim and that the world is against them." And he's talking to Ben Shapiro, a person who has just said that America has been convicted of racism despite no fault of America, right? Like that's the point that he's making. And ultimately that's what Ben Shapiro is always saying is that, cancel culture exists. Dr. Seuss has been canceled for nothing. And, all these people are coming after you and you've been convicted as guilty of being a racist for no reason. He's basically a giant victim propaganda machine for the right wing, and this guy and him are agreeing on the idea that legitimate victim complexes of like black people are killed by police all the time are false, and that convincing young people that that this kind of victimhood exists is a harm, while he tells all these young white incels that they're victims for not getting laid,
Yeah.
Right.
Society's against you, man.
Mm-hmm.
Because, it's not because you're fucking toxic and unlovable.
Yeah, they changed the flavoring in my favorite soda pop.
Yeah. and that's that, like Ben Shapiro, victimhood about wet ass pussy, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea that purity culture is being assaulted because a lady is singing about having a wet pussy. The idea that Dr. Seuss is being canceled because of racist imagery. Well, who's ever seen that in Green Eggs and Ham? And he's talking about a completely different book than like the And it's not that Dr. Seuss was canceled in the first place. It's all like victimhood capitulating, and it's all falsely built on this idea that everything is out to get them. And then he has the audacity to repost this interview where he says that one of the worst things you can do to a young person is convince them there's some kind of victim. It's so disingenuous, and I don't know if you guys care to even watch this clip. I didn't watch it. I don't know what the content is necessarily, but the headline is
Wait,
hilarious to me.
did you say this Zuby guy fucking agrees with Ben Shapiro?
Well, yeah, I think that's what it's one of those like Candace Owens, like we find the Uncle Tom that we can, and then we make them say the things that support our belief structure. So maybe let's go ahead and watch this. I guess it's 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It can't hurt, right?
Yeah, let's watch this black person debase themselves so that they're allowed to be in the same room as a fucking far right conservative.
It lines with just my own personality, and then where I was raised, my own family, my parents. It was just never a thing. They never sat me down and were like, "Oh, Zuby, you're black and we're black, so life is going to be harder for you, or you're going to have to work 10, all that stuff." There's something that people call the talk, and I never got the talk in that sense, which I'm very good.
So that's fucking wonderful if that's fucking true, because other than maybe him and Candace Owens, they're the only black people I have ever met who has not fucking gotten the talk from their black parents.
For sure.
Yeah,
and
I
you
got
come,
the talk
you come,
from my
yeah,
dad.
you come from a position where your father isn't even like liberal or anything like that. He's very conservative, right?
Well, socially, like my dad's a Democrat, but he's kind of socially conservative, fucking for whatever fucking reason. But my dad's definitely not a Republican. I think my dad would fucking I don't know, fucking explode or bleed out of his eyes before he fucking became a Republican. So there's at least that.
It's good. It's good.
Fucking, but
Cool
just because my
dad.
dad's a bit socially conservative and like pretty authoritarian, I'd say, in like his like philosophy and like how things should be done. However, he lived through fucking the civil rights movement and fucking Rodney King and all the Black Panthers that got fucking bombed and assassinated by fucking cops. And I mean, like, I thought it was funny when I was a kid because we were watching a movie, and I was younger, and in this movie, I can't remember what the movie is, but the cops are outside of a black guy's house, and he takes off all his clothes. Was that Boys in the Hood? I don't remember. I don't remember. But the black guy who's a suspect like takes off all his clothes and he comes out with his hands fucking up, and he's naked, so nobody can say he has a weapon or he's reaching for anything. Fucking, and I laughed at that because I thought it was like funny, and my dad's like, "That's not funny." Fucking, he was like, "That might actually be a good idea." Fucking,
Right.
in case there's ever fucking 12 fucking cops outside your house. Which I was thinking, like, why would there be 12 cops outside my house? And, now that I'm an adult, I know that it could be for various fucking reasons. It could be because fucking somebody smelt fucking what they thought was fucking drugs, or thought I was somebody else, or, it's just the fucking wrong house. Maybe I dated a drug dealer.
Maybe they need 12 men to handle your massive dick.
Which in that case, wear boxers as you walk out.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah.
There are children in this neighborhood.
But that's great that this guy was able to fucking live in the one neighborhood where he fucking didn't need to have the fucking talk.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Great for him. That's awesome. I guess the talk just doesn't happen though.
Grateful for, because I think one of the worst things you can do, especially to a young person, is to convince them that they're some kind of victim and that the world is against them and that they're oppressed, especially if that's not actually true. Because I believe that whatever lens you view the world through is gonna be your reality. If you walk around thinking that the whole society and nation is very, very racist and very, very sexist and very, very bigoted, you'll start to see those things even where they don't exist, right? You'll get onto a bus and the bus driver might be a little bit rude to you, and you'll say, "Oh, he was like that to me because I'm black or because I'm a woman or because," whereas it might just be that he's not a very nice guy or he's in a bad mood, whatever, right? So you start reading intentions that may not even be there, and you're seeing people doing this a lot now, right? You're hearing people talking about things like the rise of white supremacy and things, and I'm like, what? Where? Like,
I need
Yeah.
bleach. just pour bleach
So-
on me or something.
I'm also jealous that Zuby is I guess not just colorblind, but also fucking can't or doesn't, maybe he doesn't know what a swastika is.
Yeah, right.
And he's never seen them fucking marching in the thousands all throughout America for the last fucking 100 and whatever the fuck ever fucking years. Or
Yeah.
well, first it was Klansmen and then the Nazis were a little bit later. But fucking the rise of white supremacy, where? Fucking
Man.
goddamn. Who is this person?
His name is Zuby. That's all I know about.
Yeah, I guess that's all you need to know.
Oh, he's a
Is the
rapper,
KKK?
author, podcaster, coach, Oxford University graduate, strong advice fitness ebook.
Wow.
Oh,
That's a lot of
That's what it
stuff.
says on the side there. That's all I
You
know.
guys know Elliot Hulse?
No.
no.
He minus rapper and I think the university credentials, he seems to have a similar kind of thing. Well, I'll bring him up in a later episode. I'll try to throw some stuff at us because he's a weird story and kind of, yeah. Anyway,
What the fuck?
okay coming back? If they are, then let me know, because I need to be aware, right? But you're having people just saying these terms and putting things out there and really catastrophizing in a way. And I just don't think it's helpful to people. Like I said, I just don't think you want to be convincing people that they are victims, that they're oppressed, and then getting mad at.
Oh, what the fuck?
all right.
Which
Scroll
to me
down
is
on
the most
Twitter,
bizarre
maybe.
thing. I've literally been in arguments with people where they're trying to convince me I'm impressed. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like I'm very, very privileged, right? 99% of the people in the world would probably quite happily swap positions with me. And then just having that perspective, like my family background is also from Nigeria. So in terms of just having a global perspective on things and seeing just how fortunate we are, if you live in the UK, if you live in the US, just you're in such a good position.
Just the same loop of shit over and over again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think this just goes to show. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to guess that Zuby is at least upper middle class,
Yeah.
Yeah,
not
he
upper
seems to
class.
have come
Oxford
from a
grad. And
position of wealth, and maybe that's informing how he views the world.
Yeah, his global position that fucking black people are just fucking imagining when they get called fucking niggers in the street, or when cops fucking are killing them and shit
Right.
like that. Or, you know, we all mass hallucinated all the fucking various fucking Nazi and fucking Klan parades fucking going on. I mean, not even just recently. You
Well,
know.
it's not
They-
so much that they
they-
hate black people. It's just that they really like white people, right?
Yeah, yeah. I
heritage,
mean,
not hate.
what did Richard Spencer call it? An ethno state or something?
Yeah.
Fucking yeah. That's it's
their
not
weird.
racist.
That's their
to have
weird
an
way of
ethno
cleaning
state.
it up. Is
Yeah.
we don't hate black people. We just think we should all be separate.
Separate
Man,
but equal.
I'm a kid and having adults, adult fucking white people, fucking try to fucking justify that shit to me.
Yeah.
It's not racist.
I think I have a
He's
couple of
all-
more Ben Shapiro things lined up.
Ugh.
Yay.
So go back to the last one real quick.
Oh, okay.
Convicting Chauvin of murder rather than manslaughter was incorrect in my view of the
Right.
evidence, but at least we but at least evidence was presented to support a conviction. No evidence was presented that Floyd's killing was racist, but Chauvin was convicted of that, and so was America. So I read that earlier. Let's go to the next Ben Shapiro quote. So this is somebody quoting CNN's Don Lemon. CNN's Don Lemon says justice has been served, and Ben Shapiro replies to that with, and we all know he never would have said this had the reverse verdict been reached.
Yes.
Right. Because it was obvious that Chauvin was a murderer. And so
yeah. And,
if the verdict came back innocent for a thing that we all knew he did, yes, we would have been upset by that.
Brain dead take, yeah.
Well, and this is like another like weird like rich person in the public sphere thing that like court cases like determine actual truth.
Oh yeah,
right.
Of course, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's all based in like the idea that the process will always, result in what is true or what is agreeable or what is like factual, right? Like we created the process of the legal system, and whatever it churns out as the result is necessarily the right thing, right?
Yeah.
Never mind the fact that we constantly change the legal system because we find that the way it produces results is not always accurate to reality. But we get these process oriented dipshits, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I mean, because it's like sure, our justice system, you're allowed to kill one fucking person if you're rich, but
Right,
you're damn near allowed to like rape an unlimited amount of people and then say that you beat the charges in court, so therefore it never happened.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got.
Oh, sweet. Speaking of despicable people.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I wanted to share or subject the listener and the viewer to Sheriff Robert Chody.
His name is Chode.
Excellent.
And so
Chody
is a ridiculous person. Like, not just, I mean, the viewer can see, but the listener cannot. He does look ridiculous, but his existence is ridiculous.
11 pounds of shit shoved into a 9-pound bag.
So fucking Sheriff Chody is the sheriff. He was an Austin police officer, but he was too toxic for the Austin Police Department. He became the sheriff of Williamson County, which is the county over, which I actually technically live in Williamson County, fucking, even though I'm still in Austin.
Don't dox yourself, dude.
Oh yeah, shit. Fucking, oh no.
You live in redacted county.
With redacted fucking bag of shit was my sheriff, because he was fucking indicted.
Former redacted county sheriff, redacted Chody.
I'll redact your Chody.
But so what he was a former APD officer because he decided to beat the shit out of a black teenager and their mom for absolutely no reason.
And the mom.
Yeah, and the mom.
Is this the one that was caught like with live cameras?
Oh yeah, so yeah, he was which that was much later in his life. But he was able to beat the charges because it was apparently heinous enough for other cops and the fucking public at large to call bullshit. But he happened to win the fucking lottery. During
that's pretty good.
The fucking court proceedings, and he settled.
Never let anybody tell you that meritocracy doesn't exist in America.
Yeah. And then he went on to self-fund himself into becoming sheriff, a made man or whatever the fuck. But it turns out that fucking not just being a fucking terrible person who fucking beats women and children and then escapes to fucking other jurisdictions to continue to be allowed, I guess, to beat women and children. He incentivizes his fucking deputies with steakhouse gift cards to for particularly, I guess, bad beatings, and also spots on his live television show, like Danko said, where Williamson County deputies murdered a fucking semi-elderly black man with a heart condition by tasering him to death. And in fact, I believe in this article that the deputy in question, this deputy in question, right here, who I think only had 12 weeks of training before he was out on his own, because Williamson County sheriffs, have like I guess a fucking 6-week probationary period.
All right.
Beat the ever living shit out of this woman and fucking dragged her in a sundress across the hot Texas fucking asphalt and found a way to scrape her genitals across the fucking asphalt.
Jesus.
Yeah, and apparently he was shocked that he was getting fucking fired or asked to resign, because this was too heinous for the Williamson County Sheriff's Department, which
operates heinously.
Yeah, it's so they have such a bad fucking rap that white people in Travis County feel nervous driving through Williamson County because they are afraid of fucking Williamson County deputies.
That's
But yeah,
it brought this down, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think people should know that some people are willing to.
That's good. I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah, well, and and also they rehired Williamson County, the new sheriff.
Yeah, no, that's what they always fucking do is if one of these cops gets fired because they did something obscene, they just go to a different jurisdiction.
Well, no.
Again. And I know what you're saying here is that he got rehired at the same jurisdiction. Yeah. But yeah, like in the case that they don't get hired at the same jurisdiction again, they just get rehired at a different jurisdiction. And these honestly sociopaths, I think it's fair to call them. They just keep bouncing around the system, and it's not too different than like the sociopaths of the Catholic Church.
Oh yeah,
keep like finger banging kids or whatever. It's just an institution that does not self-regulate in a way that produces meaningful results. It's a system that self-regulates in a way that just like pushes people around. And it kind of just like spreads the terror that these people wreak upon communities.
Do you guys want to guess what the justification that they gave for rehiring the deputy was?
Cool dude, rehabilitated.
No,
we need a
let me think about this for a second.
Person on we need a strong man to lead us. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, probably the strong man thing.
No, it's because nobody told him that he shouldn't fucking brutalize and fucking drag people across fucking shitty Texas fucking asphalt roads.
He was just following policy.
He wasn't trained to fucking abuse people fucking terribly for steakhouse gift cards.
That's kind of how all these things like get swept under the rug. I've found is like it's not that he did something bad or she was innocent. It's like, oh well, how could somebody possibly know that it's harmful to drag somebody across asphalt, or how could somebody possibly know that it's against department policy to kneel on a person's neck for such and such amount of time? it's always credentialized sort of bullshit where it's the training that you received didn't tell you explicitly that you're not allowed to do one thing or another, and so when you do that explicit thing, they can say like, oh well, we never said you're not allowed to burn a school bus. we just we try to tell them that maybe burning a school bus is bad, but we never said like burning a school bus shouldn't be done at all.
Yeah, but ultimately, I mean, if you've got enough school bus, steakhouse gift cards at the steakhouse, then you're allowed to break a couple mirrors.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to pull it back.
Well, yeah, I don't think we have anything left after that. But I do appreciate that we went down this horrible winding road that we went down.
Yeah.
To everybody who listened, thank you for listening so far. We love you. Please take your medicine.
Oh, hold up.
Oh.
We got pitches and stuff. We gotta.
Yes.
Things.
Premature ejaculation on my point.
It happens. It happens to the best of us. This has never happened to me before.
It happens to me all the time.
But for the workshop, we just started up our asynchronous seminar, going over basics of a basic survey of ideology. So we're looking at epistemology, different kinds of theory of mind, stuff like that. So we're doing everything from Descartes to Zizek. That starts up this week. So if you sign up for the writer tier of the Patreon, and again, patreon.com/Truncata, TRUNCATA. You can go ahead and sign up for that 10-week seminar. It's built like a graduate level course, and doesn't have the stress of having to write 1,000 papers either. So that'll be nice. Also, my talk at UCU Utrecht went well. That's also available on that same Patreon for free. You don't have to subscribe to anything to hear that. And also per Bataille, because that's what that talk was about. You can find me on the Schizotopia podcast, a great podcast. It's my second time appearing on there, and we talked about Bataille and the GameStop stuff and all sorts of bizarre interconnections. Green energy, it's bizarre. It was a good time. But that's available. It's schizotopia.pod on Instagram, or you can just find Schizotopia wherever you look at your podcast.
Cool. Nothing to announce in my corner. John may be making a Instagram at some point, as I've been pressuring him to do for some time.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I'm a terrible employee.
Yeah, HR is going to talk to you about your Glee association with the TBRD, with the TBRD institution. It doesn't seem like you really feel it.
Oh yeah, I'm not a company man.
God damn.
Obviously, I'm the only one with hair. I don't follow dress code.
Whew.
Yeah,
it's on the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, man, you're gonna lose it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, one day.
I'm sorry in advance.
Yeah.
Probably not. John's gonna have a beautiful head of hair for the rest of his life, I think.
I'm just gonna start gluing this up here.
Yeah. Start shaving and start gluing. All right. Well, I think we're ready for sign-offs now. So we love you. Please take your medicine.
Please take mine too.
Make sure to share with your friends.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, it works.
Hell, we're done. Hi, Michael Deebs here, with no gun pointed at my head. Please know that all content created for the Benzo Rehab Dungeon is and always will be freely available. However, if you would like to support this creation of content, we here at Camp Benzo would appreciate it, as the production itself is not free of cost. Anything donated will go to covering the various subscription fees maintained for content production or improving and expanding the content produced. If you are able to, please head on over to patreon.com/BenzoRehabDungeon. We also have shirts for sale on Teespring, all priced as low as we can get them without turning much or any profit. They are mostly so that you can show your loved ones that a necessary intervention may be on the horizon. Links to the merchandise storefront and our various social media profiles can be found on our link tree, which is the word link tr.ee/Benzo Rehab Dungeon. As always, we love you. Please take your medicine.